Good evening. It is Monday evening, January 20th, the tail end of the Martin Luther King holiday. And welcome to my weekly review of where we've gone and preview of where we're going. So without further ado, I'm going to look back at week one and give you a little quick look ahead at week two. Okay, and I already had a written announcement last night kind of heading you in this direction as to what's going on. And as you recall, so I'm going to try to do this every week for us so that we have an idea of where we're going. Okay, week one. I'm probably not far off if I say that most people, when they took a course on organizational design and organization development, you didn't really expect to be presented immediately with a video about a primitive, almost prehistoric lifestyle of a almost lost tribe of people, and who are living in almost a time warp. It's in a something prior to most civilizations that we know about, and yet it turned into a good example. It turned into a good example of how people naturally tend to organize, and they organize for common benefit, they organize for common purpose, they organize for economic benefit, they organize for safety, they organize for just socialization, they organize. And without a blueprint, without a plan, without a theory in front of them, you see how these people came about with their hunter-gatherer existence, came about with a pretty good workable organizational model. And in fact, many of you were able to project that into the modern world of organizations and how things fit together and how organizations you've either been part of or are currently part of and everything of that nature all fit together. Division of labor, task assignment, knowing the number of people, getting the right people. How did it work? And you saw some similarities. And that was one of the big themes I took out of the discussion, is that people did see similarities, and they saw things that didn't seem to be shocking, were they? They seemed to be pretty logical. What I did see in the discussion, too, was very good work as a whole. I am almost through grading all of it, and you'll find, for a little mechanical explanation, what I'm trying to do to make sure I get through it quickly so you have feedback available to you to use in upcoming discussions, particularly where we're going this week, is I'm going to use the grading rubric. And the grading rubric has enough detail in it to where if you click on the rubric, you'll see my one comment, and if you click on the rubric, you see the scores and where they came. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I will let you know how I came about the grading that I have. But for the most part, the interaction's great. The level of detail is very good, and we're starting to move into an area now where you're going to have to apply maybe just a little bit more of the what would you do or how would I interpret this versus the first week. There was a lot of reporting on what the authors or the producers of the video, what their take was on organization development. And now we're going to be moving into areas where it's going to be more time for what would you do. And that really is kind of my lead-in to week two. Week two is a little more specific. It talks about, theories of organization design or needs for organization design. And now instead of the design being organic or natural like it was with the HASDA, well, guess what? We're talking about it being predetermined. Maybe not predetermined, wrong word. It's thought about, and so that it's premeditated. That's what I meant to say. Okay? People thinking about what do they need, what needs to be done, who needs to do it, how does it need to be done, who will have authority, who will have direction, who will have power, starts to come into it. And one thing I would like you to keep in the back of your mind, because I don't really see it playing a big role yet in the text, but I think there is something very important we need to keep in mind when we look at org design and org development. And, I just went through a whole list of things. How do we do things? Who should do it? What should be done? Who should direct it? Who should be in control? Keep in the back of your mind all the time, organizations and their members need to understand why they are doing things. Okay? If people understand why they are doing something, they are much more likely to do it well, and to do it willingly, and to do it creatively, and to do it productively, than if they're just assigned to do something because you said so. And it's something I think it's very important. I've learned that through years of management and study of management, and read just about every theory that's out there. You can't get away from the fact that if you don't have a clear purpose, then you are probably going to have, first, a muddy organizational design, and number two, a muddy organizational performance. So that's something real. Also, back to the mechanics. You had a paper due this week. I haven't read them yet. Okay, it's Monday night. My target is to get them all graded for Wednesday. I noticed then, too, and I'm going to be very direct, out of the 20 or so papers, 9 of them weren't there last night, okay, so at the deadline. Deadlines are important because, obviously, in the world that we are trying to prepare for, they're important out there. That's why they're important in the course. Number two, they're important in the course because if I can't get to them in time, I can't grade them and comment them on time for you to use that information in your preparation of the next paper or the next assignment. So please try to make sure that we are adhering to deadlines. It makes life easier for everybody. Overall, I think the first week went really well. I was very pleased with what I saw. I was very pleased with how people responded to my questions, and expect more. So that's pretty much what I have to say. Last week we looked at kind of an organic format. Now we're looking at more of a premeditated format, and the differences will become apparent as we go through. So these are things that we're going to be studying, that we're going to be working with. And another little point too, week 2 is a question about essentially high-level military strategy in the discussion. I originally thought of taking it out because it's a little bit of maybe a recognition from my part that one of the big cultural differences in a room, a diversity difference in a class for me most of the time is age. I'm usually far and away older than everybody in the class that I'm teaching. And this discussion question this week made reference to the Cold War period, which is the period I grew up in and became an adult in and only saw end really right up until about 1990. Well, I thought of taking that out because I said to myself, a lot of people, this is going to be unfamiliar ground. This is going to be stuff out of a history book to them. But then I thought differently because we have such a heavy military presence in this class. I said, I'm going to leave that question in because I'd really like to know your guys' opinions of what's going on. So read that question carefully. It is not necessarily a military strategy question. It is an organizational direction question. And I think it's a question of organizing to accomplish an end. And that's what we want to look at it as. So I just thought I'd throw that comment in there. Okay, people have exhibited the ability to get to me and ask questions. That's good. I really appreciate the hard work everybody's done, and I'm looking forward to where we go this week. Thanks very much.